All right, guys, welcome back. So, uh, I do apologize for the blurry camera. The other day, I was not really having a good day. Well, that was fun. I just spent the better part of an hour, 2 hours maybe? That was confusing as hell. Trying to get piston number 5 into the bore. I got it in, pushed it down, tried to align it, wouldn't align, moved it back and forth, jostled it back and forth. Just nothing I would do would get this piston aligned. Nothing. I even tried to put the pin in, just to see. And it would stop right here. It would stop right at the beginning. Like, I started doubting myself as to whether I put the wrist pin in the right way, on the right side. So I checked that out. I mean, everything was clear to go. Well, little section on the video that explains, says always make sure your wrist pin will go through your piston before you install it. So at a certain point I realized I never did that. I didn't think that you would sell a piston and not have the wrist pin that you sold me clear the piston hole. So it does not. The piston pin does not go and clear the whole JE pistons. The wrist pin that you sold me on the piston you sold me does not clear the hole. I don't even know if it clears it on the other side. And of course, obviously, this is what I kept doing the whole time. I was trying to get this dowel to clear and pound it in there, and just nothing I was doing was getting that piston to align. And it is very tight, on the other piston. I'll show you in one sec. But this dowel won't go in at all. Like, there's a serious clearance problem here. Let me just show you. Also, the jury rig. This is the jury rig I used to get the piston out. I just used a cap, if you run into this situation. I just used some double-sided tape and the cap to one of my bottles, one of the spray cans here. Double stuck it to the bottom of the piston after I pushed it down with the unconnected rod, and just yanked. Get yourself some strong double-sided tape, and this will yank the piston out for you, because I couldn't figure out how to get the piston out otherwise. So piston's out now, and I confirmed what I thought was the problem. Let me just show you the example of a correct piston and how that fits. Again, I'm going to spin this around, and we're gonna, so piston ring or connecting rod, it's a tight fit. You kind of jiggle it around a little bit, but it fits through no problem, right? No issues. Goes right through. You can slide it back and forth. And additionally, this, obviously, I jiggle it back and forth, but zips right through. So that's what happens if you don't check your piston ring. You spend 2 hours trying to jam this thing through and, find out it would have never gone through no matter what you did. So that's awesome. Really, really, really excited about that. Thanks, J.E. Piston. Super job. All right. Well, that's been my night. So I to follow up on the Piston story, I did place a call to J.E. Pistons, and they told me to call Ellen Engineering, who is who sold me the pistons as part of their kind of cylinder update package. So I got in touch with Ellen Engineering and Charles Navarro, and Charles kind of immediately responded, and they are overnighting a piston to me. According to them, this is the first instance that they've encountered of a piston pin bore being out of whack. They've seen other kind of crazy situations. I'm sure, being in business for years, you see all sorts of crazy stuff going on with the piston manufacturer. So Ellen Engineering just sold me the pistons. It was really J.E. Piston that made the mistake here. So even the guy I spoke to for J.E. was a little bit perplexed by how this could happen. And even Charles himself, who said they pay extra for this to be double and triple checked, so that this sort of thing doesn't happen. Well, I joined the Miss the Fucking Circlip Club, and now I join the Piston Pin Bore Misalignment Club, which apparently hitting both of those is kind of a lottery. So yay me. Yay. That's excellent. Really great to hear we hit the lottery on that. I guess to be expected in the engine build. Yes, I did not admittedly check the piston bore for the pins, and I don't know a lot of engine builders that check that every single time, but maybe they do. I certainly learned a very long and hard process, and learned a few lessons along the way, I guess I say, and just wanted to share some with you, what I learned. This stuff does happen, when you're trying to engineer, tolerances on this engine are very tight. The engine's made out of aluminum, which is a very unforgiving metal. The iron and steel blocks are much more forgiving of small errors, but aluminum block, not so much. But this is me pushing on and trying to get through this. And the last piston should be here. It's being overnighted by Charles. So appreciate that. I guess, I'm not, based on my experience so far on the J.E. Pistons, I'm not that impressed with, but I'm one guy, maybe I'm just the only guy who has this problem. I don't know. I hope so. Obviously they wouldn't be in business, but, so anyway, check your piston pin bores before you install your pistons, especially on bank 2. Bank 2 is if I had discovered this on bank 1 through 3, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It would be, I would be much less angry about this whole situation. But because it was on bank 2, I feel like, I haven't done a million bank 2s, and honestly, guys, set aside a lot of time in your schedule to do bank 2 on the cylinders, and get yourself a maybe even a $50 bore scope, so you can get the top of the line ones, because the bore scope rescued me many times. The bore scope has become invaluable for this job. I don't know how you do it pre-bore scope. But now that these tiny little cameras are affordable, it's really not hard to do. You just have to have a lot of patience. Honestly, I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I'm going to get step 1 through 5 done today. And, I barely even get step 1 done. And so I think Jake Raby talks about this. He says, when you're building an engine like this, you can't be watching the clock. You can't be in a hurry. And it's true. Like, if this is your car, again, I'll say it again, if this is your car and you need to rebuild it to get back on the road, don't do it. You're going to rush it. And, honestly, even going at extremely slow pace, I still, I wake up sometimes, like in a cold sweat, thinking I forgot to put lubricant somewhere. I put too much of this. I twisted this too tight. So you really have to be a little bit of a risk taker to kind of build an engine like this. So if you're not a risk taker, it's not really the engine for you. But if you want to live a little bit on the edge, find out what happens, give it a try. And if you're not a risk taker, you can watch me do it and see if it blows up when we stick it back in the car. And it might, honestly. I have serious internal self-doubt, based on the number of steps and the complexity and the length of time it's taking. I don't know. But it's been fun. I'm learning about it, and I've enjoyed, I wish it wasn't so expensive, if I messed it up, maybe, hey, you just lost, a couple grand, right? In this case, if you mess it up, it's a high stakes game. It's much more than that. Back to it. What we're going to do is put in piston number 5. I'm going to take the piston that was good, that I have left, that I was going to actually install in bank 4 here. It's just luck of the draw that I grabbed this the defective piston and had that for bank 2. It was just complete unluck. If I had grabbed it for piston 1 through 3, it would have been no problem. I would have noticed it in 2 minutes that the pin didn't fit, because the arm gets assembled before it goes in the crankshaft. Anyway, rambling. We're gonna see if we can get piston number 5 aligned with a full circlip in there. I know how difficult this is, and just going to take my time and work through it. Double, triple check with the bore scope. Okay. This looks good so far. Hopefully we don't mess this one up too. That'd be really, really nice right about now. So, don't want to mess this one up too. I think we got it. Let's check. No gap. Nailed it. All right, we're an old pro at this now. But I'm gonna check again. That was it. It took me 3 hours yesterday. It hasn't even been 25 minutes. So piston number 5 is installed. As soon as I get piston number 6 tomorrow, we'll be done with the short block. Well, minus all the small components that go in the oil pan. But I consider that a little success. We got pistons 5 and 6 in there successfully. Hopefully you guys picked up a few how not to do stuff things from me. You know, sometimes watching the videos from a seasoned pro, they don't make mistakes, right? They just show you, this is how you do it, and then they move on. But what if you make a mistake? What happens? Well, also, like, what happens if stuff that you bought doesn't fit or isn't working or all that other stuff? I mean, that's all part of this too. So anyway, that's piston 5. When I get piston, the last piston in from Ellen Engineering, we'll put that in and we can finally think about putting the heads on and doing some valve train timing. That's another one of those tough situations, the valve train timing. Honestly, I think the cylinders in bank 2 were the harder ones, at least from what I can tell. Valve train timing, a lot of steps, but not like laparoscopic surgery with a borescope or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward. You know right away if you did it right or you did it wrong. And if you follow the instructions, it looks pretty straightforward. But I'm not gonna lie, it looks intimidating a little bit. And then we can, once valve train timing is done, really it's time to think about getting back in the car and starting it. So those are the next steps. All right, guys.
Early morning yesterday, I was up before the dawn, and I really have enjoyed this day, but I must be moving on. Like a king without a castle, like a king without a throne, I was doing on another, and I must be moving on. Now I believe in what you say is the undisputed truth, but I have to have things my own way to keep me in mind. Like a ship without an anchor, like a slave without a chain, just the thought of those sweet ladies as they shiver through my veins. And I will go on shining, shining like brand new. I'll never look behind me, my troubles will be few. Goodbye, stranger, it's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. Glad to see you, point of view. Hope your dreams will all come true. Goodbye, Mary, goodbye, Jane. Will we ever meet again? Feel no sorrow, feel no shame. No tomorrow, feel no pain. Sweet devotion, it's not for me. Just give me motion, set me free. The land and the ocean, far away. It's the life I've chosen every day. So goodbye, Mary, goodbye, Jane. Will we ever meet again? Now some they do and some they don't, and some you just can't tell. And some they will and some they won't, but some it's just as well. You could laugh at my behavior, that'll never bother me. Say the devil is my savior, but I don't pay no heed. And I will go on shining, it's shining like brand new. I'll never look behind me, my troubles will be few.
Alright guys, we got the piston in from Ellen Engineering. They overnighted it and here we are installing the final piston, piston number 4 in the bank, number 2. And fingers crossed, I checked everything before installing it this time. The wrist pin clears. This would be a really bad time to mess things up. So let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about getting this circlip in place and the piston ring and getting it all aligned and moving on to finally installing the heads on this new block. Well, refurbished block. Let's just say that. Newish. So let's get started. This is the final one. So I know what you're thinking. It's getting fucking built. That's what.